I don't got a good intro for this one, so I'm gonna. I was not expecting that.
I was holding that recorded for a good 15 minutes now.
Oh man, dude. I was not expecting that, bro. That's so funny. Like, dude, I should have just kept singing, bro. Like, I was gonna keep going, but I just kept. Oh man. Anyways, it's your boy, Scuba Steve,
and the Sodaholic.
And bro, you know what I was thinking a while ago, bro?
What were you thinking?
So I was thinking, is history real?
Yes.
Like, well, thanks for watching.
Tune in next time.
Oh man. Ooh. Ooh, man.
Wait, okay.
People listen to this are like, bro, what the fuck?
Is history real? That is a question to ponder.
Here we are. All right. So I was thinking about I was thinking about old people, right?
Right.
And, because I was going through the internet and I was finding famous people, and some guys were born, and people were born in the 20s and the 30s, and they're still alive today, right?
Right.
So they've been through all the world wars, all the Vietnam, the Korean, the Iraq, the Gulf, whatever, a whole bunch of wars, right?
Yeah.
And we learn about that kind of stuff at school, right? About all these wars and stuff. And then we learn a lot about freaking everything that's been happening in the whole 1900s, right? In the past 100 years, we were learning all that kind of stuff at school, right? These old people, no disrespect, they all guys I have some really good friends that are pretty right.
Right.
And they experienced, they lived through, wars, racism, change, and a whole bunch of presidents, and technology growth, and just different trends, from the disco 70s to the techno 80s, dubstep days. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's crazy, right? Yeah. They seen that, bro. But we don't know anybody that's lived in the 1800s, in the 1700s, bro, or before that, right?
Right.
And then I was how can we prove? Then obviously people would be like, oh, we got documents, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, yeah, this is right. But what about way before that, bro? What about way before that, bro? Huh? When do we know? How do we know?
Documents.
Oh shit. No, and then obviously there's, that's obviously the correct answer is we got documents, we have all this kind of stuff, we have
science
and all that, right? But then I was thinking, I wonder what people back then were doing. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
Were they teaching? How far back of history were they teaching back then? Because what we're learning is all the way back since the dawn of time, since even before Jesus, way before that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. And I wonder how that worked around Jesus' time. You know what I'm saying? Like school and stuff, and history wise. You know what I'm saying?
It makes me think of how many lives wasted was trying to learn things that weren't true. You know, because now today there are things we know now
Yeah.
that prove other theories and other thoughts back in the day was wrong, like flat Earth and all that. So it just makes me wonder, how would they feel if they found out their whole life's work was a lie?
Yeah, like the people that like believed the whole solar system was orbiting the Earth, right?
Right.
But then we can prove that that's not the case. We're all orbiting around the sun. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I bet they'll probably be devastated. That, or they'll probably just they'll try to prove us wrong. Because that's how they were back in the day. That they were right and we were wrong. But like, if we threw actual facts at them, like pictures and stuff, they'd be like, what is this ooga? Ooga.
Is this what is a picture? And then,
Dude, and then we shoot them and then we mess up history. Then we won't have snowboard video games.
if you went back in time with a flashlight, let's say you had like 5 flashlights, high-powered flashlights, and a taser that can shoot 100 times, you know, not the ones that shoot, but like you can just tase people 100 times, right? That's it.
So like after the 100th time it stops working?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think with that alone, if you went back in time, do you think you can conquer the land and scare people with 5 flashlights and a taser that can only shock 100 times?
Yeah. No, yeah. I think with the taser especially, because all they had was fire, you know, to fight.
You don't think they would accuse you of witchcraft and try to overthrow you?
No, they would accuse me of witchcraft, but then some people would like bow their knees upon my foot because I have so much power on them. Like they can try to attack me, but then I'll just tase them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the flashlight just blinds them. You know what I'm saying? They're like, You know what I'm saying, bro? And so then I hand one to one of my disciples, and then we become the children of light.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Sounds like the whole prophecy. Oh,
Yeah,
bro, we should write this down. This sounds like a movie idea.
we'll
I'm
start.
about to sell it to Michael Bay.
We're freaking start a cult and then rule the world, man. That's how I do it, bro. That's how I do it. Did you miss me?
It's weird
Would
to
you-
think about. It's
Yeah.
weird to think. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, you wouldn't bring like a phone or like a computer because they didn't have Wi-Fi. That would just be straight stupid.
That
Right?
is true.
But like, if you brought something that, like, you may seem that's not as advanced now because we like take things for granted, like
Yeah.
like a torch, you know,
Yeah.
or like a freaking or freaking like a frick, bro. Like a damn.
Yeah.
man, yeah.
Yeah, you know, freaking. Yeah.
How long are we gonna keep going with this, bro?
So I have a question for you. It has nothing to do with history and stuff, but it is something that a friend
fridge.
brought up to me.
A freaking
Do you think? Because we were getting into an argument. It was civil. Do you think there are any movies that needed to be made?
Wait, what?
Are there? Because we were arguing about a certain movie. And my biggest gripe was that the movie was kind of pointless and it was a movie that didn't need to be made.
Yeah.
And he said that no movies need to be made, which is true. But then for me, you can also say the same thing about everything, about all types of literature. That all types of music didn't need to be made, and all type of literature didn't need to be made. So I'm asking you: is there a piece of literature, music, writing, movies? Is there any literature that needed to be made?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I feel like like Black Panther for an example. Like
That movie needed to be made.
yeah, because like it when at least for superheroes, a lot of people saw that majority of all the superheroes were white, right, and wasn't really exposing like the minorities. And then when Black Panther came out, like it was just a huge, like like it meant a lot for a lot of people because it showcased one of the first black superheroes on screen, and that meant so much for a lot of people, right? And so then that movie, I feel like needed to be made, especially in this time now where we need more representatives of the minorities. Music wise, I mean, I feel like music always needs to be made because everyone has. I feel like music is like one of the biggest foundations for someone's identity and someone to feel like they belong to like a group, because some conversations you have, like sometimes it'll be about music, like people always be like, bro, you hear that new freaking 21 Savage album, bro, or you hear that new Cole, or like, man, that Sam Smith album was so good. Like people are always going to be talking about music, and it brings people together because it brings conversation, right? And so like, yeah, and so I feel like music needs to be made because, even back when like with classical music like Mozart and Beethoven, like people will go to that and they will have conversations about it. Even to this day, people still talk about that kind of music. So I feel like that sort of art needs to be made. Literature wise, like books, I mean, we're still reading To Kill a Mockingbird. Like that hits a whole bunch of points about like racism, about like like what's the difference between what's good and bad morally, and just like friendship, and it was just it hit a lot of things that people are still discussing to this day, right? And that we're still like, we need to have that being discussed, because and so like that type of literature like is good stuff, right? And then Fahrenheit 451, like kids are still reading that, schools are still like having kids read that, because again that has some morals, that has some like themes and stuff that 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 people need to know, what I'm saying? So like that type of literature always, and all that, like I feel like some movies are made to like have people experience something they're not, I guess, to like, you sit in the theater room and you're so focused in this movie and you feel like you're part of the movie, because that's how I feel like all my worries are gone, like I don't have any homework, I don't have any like responsibilities, like I'm so immersed in this movie, like I feel like there's nothing more than just me being part of this movie, right?
I'm really glad you think this way, because after I had this argument with this person, I started thinking about it, and I came to the same conclusion, which is basically aligned with yours. For the most part, I think every form of medium needed to be made, because one thing that people don't really think about is that movies and TV shows and all that, they are one of the bigger factors in raising kids. Sometimes parents aren't always with their kids, and sometimes the movies that we watch, or the comics that we read, or the books that we read, it inspires people and it shows them what's right or wrong. I know when the X-Men comic books came out, I never read them, but people loved the X-Men because it wasn't about superheroes, it was about outcasts, it was about mutants being mistreated and how they still rose above to be heroes, and it inspired people. And that's even though there are some shit movies, so looking at you, for the most part, I think every form of medium needed to be made because it always has an impact on people.
Yeah.
I'm not a big music person, but I know a lot of people who had their hearts touched with music and finds way to express themselves in writing and in acting and in games and stuff like that. So yeah, I totally agree, and I'm happy that you see the same.
I see the light.
Yeah,
I see the truth.
Yeah. Follow me, everyone. Just make a cult right now.
Bet, yeah, Children of Light.
Trademark. we gotta get it.
I mean,
Can
like,
we just rename our channel like that? Can we just
Children of Light? Yeah, bet.
bet?
I mean, like, it can get the same thing with video games too. I mean, we didn't have to make video games, but like,
Would you consider video games art? Now this is a topic that I love talking to people. Do you personally think video games are art? Should be considered art?
Yeah, man. I mean, like, people put all their hard work and like life into a game. You know, like Halo, for an example. Like, people devoted themselves to make this game to be the best game ever, like the best first-person shooter, right? And it is. I mean, like, you can see how.
Yeah, take that, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty is good. Halo kind of just like, you know, changed a lot of people's lives and things, and just like changed perspectives and how first-person shooters are meant to be made and stuff. And the gameplay was amazing, but like, I feel like part of a video game is always going to be gameplay, right? When people review, it's always gameplay, and then music, characters, and then the graphics, right? You know, the graphics always sells people. You know, as these newer consoles are coming in, games are becoming more like just not realistic, but just more aesthetically beautiful. Especially with like PS4, because I love PlayStation and I love the graphics and it's really dope.
Xbox, bro.
Yeah, bro, always Halo.
Yeah, we got Kingdom Hearts 3 now. Yeah, even though
Garbage.
we have the other Kingdom Hearts.
It should just stay in PlayStation.
No,
Stay in PlayStation. Go to the Switch. Don't go to Xbox. Go to the Switch.
We went to Xbox. Yeah.
But I think no, because like with some games, some of the like God of War, for example, they have a booklet of just the art. Some of the art that, you know, when they were planning certain characters like Aphrodite or some of the stages, like they freaking like I use Aphrodite as an example, not other like Greek god or anything, because Aphrodite is the god of sex and stuff. Anyways, but like some of like the bonuses you get in games or like with special edition stuff is the box art. Is the freaking, like in Metroid Prime, if you beat the game in a certain time or you beat the game in general, you unlock game art and you see what people were you know, designing before the final product. In God of War, the first game, when you beat the game, you get to see some of the some of the monsters, some of the Greek monsters. You get to see what they looked before the final product, and you can see how they were made and stuff. And it's just really cool to see how one thing turns to another, and then it turns into the final product. But like, people want to see something good, right?
Right.
When you look at a painting, you're just like, oh, this is aesthetically beautiful. This is good, right? People want to see, like, people who are making games want the same feeling in their game.
See, that's the thing I don't understand about like people who say video games are not art, because I think I find it baffling, because video games is a combination of everything, you know, of music, of storytelling, of visuals, you know, and the fact that you can control it, that, you know, sometimes they can create a masterpiece. You know, my go-to game that I would say for any person to play, to figure out whether or not if game is an art, is Portal 2. Not the first one, but the second one. You know, that game I would say is my definitive answer to is video games art. But I don't understand why people would say video games are not art though.
Cause Tetris, Candy Crush, Hexa 2, Worms. I mean, like, video game designers always trying to be different, right? Because you
For the
know
most part.
each games are not always. Gonna
That's
be
why
the
there's
same.
been so many battle royale modes.
Yeah. No, I mean visually, visually. I meant visually, right? Like they're like people want to be aesthetically better than kind of like Battlefield 1 when that came out. Like that was pretty. It was pretty good. I thought it was really good, right? But like the people that made Battlefield 1 were the same people that made Titanfall 2, and they're two different games and two different like aesthetics, right? Two different like gameplay,
Right.
but they're both like the art between the two is like really good to see, you know. Like I like the way they some of the visuals they have on Battlefield 1 and how like with Battlefield I like how you get to destroy buildings and stuff and all that kind of stuff. Like that's pretty cool. And Titanfall 2, I like the fast pace and like when you're moving, like everything seems to go fast and that kind of stuff. But like the reason why people play games is not only because of the music and the gameplay, but also does it look good? You know, does it please my eyes? Does it please my senses? Ooh. But I feel like my answer is very subjective. It's very subjective. I mean, people probably just play it because they're bored and stuff. But like, I don't know. I just feel like, video games are considered an art. You know, because
I think
bonuses,
they
bro.
should be. Yeah.
You know, you unlock the game's bonus and you find art. Like legit,
Or you buy the DLC that unlocks the art and alternative costumes. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Fuck that. Fuck DLC. Bro. So
I love it when Kratos wears a fish costume. God of War.
I love it when a fighting game comes out, they have characters on the menu screen, but you can't play them until you buy the DLC, even though it's day one release. The characters are locked but completed, so that's cool. That's cool too. Love that.
DLC is great, bro. Remember when games didn't have DLC? You just bought the game and you played it,
Bro, man.
like
See,
Mario Kart.
I don't mind DLC if you add to the experience, but like charging me $8 so Batman could have a more red suit, that's stupid, man. That's stupid. Really? You're gonna charge me
$8? I mean, like with RPGs, it makes sense, right? Because some DLC either gives you more guns or it extends the story, right?
Extending the story I have no problem with. Extending the story, I do have a problem when the main campaign isn't resolved unless you buy the DLC. Then I have a problem with it.
Like Mass
But, like,
Effect 3.
Most of the DLCs that
No,
I'm seeing
that was more
are like huge chunks of content that are ready, like, and some of them are just stupid cosmetic stuff. Like you get a red gun or you get a blue camo for dude. I remember when Call of Duty was charging money just so you could use your home country flag.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah,
and like
I
Modern
think-
Warfare 3 was kind of free. Like,
See, that's what I'm saying. It was free before. I don't see
Yeah.
what the big problem was.
Wow, man, I have to pay $10 to represent Czech Republic.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah,
stupid.
because I'm from the Republic of Czechs.
And I'm Swedish.
Just kidding. Respect.
No,
Respect to all people.
I'm Swedish. Fuck everyone else who's not Swedish. because I'm
Respect to all people.
No. Only Swedish people. Only the Swedens. If you don't like the Swedens,
Yo, speaking of Swedish people, PewDiePie is cool.
Wait, what?
Wait, is PewDiePie Swedish?
Yes.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's cool.
I like PewDiePie.
I like T-Series.
Shut your.
Fine.
Anyways, I'm gonna we're gonna go bathe in some hot Cheetos dust.
I'm gonna go buy some DLC for games I don't even play anymore.
Like
So yeah,
worms, Armageddon. I like worms. I don't got worms.
I got crabs.
Wow. Okay. I'll see you later.
You feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Ooh.